Good afternoon. I am Dr. Nsenga Burton, founder and editor-in-chief of the Burton Wire, and welcome to the Burton Wire and NMPA / Black Press USA's live stream with Sherrod and Mike Jackson of HGTV's Married to Real Estate. We are excited to have them on screen today so they can tell us all about their wonderful lives, which of course involves building a real estate empire while building a Black family. An amazing Black family. So without further ado, I will give you Egypt and Mike from HGTV's Married to Real Estate.
Hello. Hi, Dr. Burton.
Hey, how are you?
What a great intro.
Thank you. Good to see. Well, it's easy to do an intro like that when I'm talking to y'all. So that's yes. So we are so happy to have you on the show today. You all are what we would call fan favorites. People with a tremendous following across all types of audiences, and you do work that is loved by many. My producer, technical producer Norman, and I were talking about this earlier about how we have to. He was talking about how he has to keep his wife away from your show because she gets from watching your show, and I have to stay away because I want to do things to my house that is not in the budget. But we get great information from you guys and get to see you make over, enhance, build, and also build people's lives too. Like you get to see the happiness in the people that you serve, the clients that you serve. So we just want to talk to you a little bit about what you do today, what it looks like a day in the life of you on set. And about your qualifications, because we want to make it clear to people, at least I do, want to make it clear to people that you are absolutely qualified to do this work. We're doing this work before the show, and that, as Mike said in the interview, we have a feature on our website, but as Mike said in the interview, you were doing this work and then you invited HGTV in. Right. So tell us a little bit how you all came to do this work in real estate and renovations and things of that nature.
Do you want to start or should I?
Go for it. Ladies first. Ladies first.
So like many, real estate was my second career first. I was a radio personality for almost 20 years, but I come from a family of real estate investors and brokers. They were broker owners of Century 21. So as far as I tried to run away from real estate, it followed me to the Thanksgiving table, if you know what I mean. So it's inevitable that you recognize real estate is the foundation of wealth. When I started making a little bit of money, I would invest it in multifamilies. I was flipping houses before I even owned my own home. And then when you do that enough, you get into staging, and then you're designing your property. And the next thing you know, you just have this bank of skills that you didn't necessarily go to school for. But then I said, you know what, there's a whole career in this. I need to turn around and go back to school for this, right? Really build on. So I am a 20+ year real estate broker. I own my own real estate brokerage in Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm also a principal designer, first learned by doing, then learned by studying. And so I am, I love this business that I'm in. My husband and I met because he was actually one of the teams working on my flip houses way back when I was you were stalking me. He was me. And it took us, we've been together 21 years. At first, we tried to run very far away from working together because we just thought it wouldn't work. And then we realized, well, we've always really been working together. Let's just make this official and have some rules.
Right.
And for me, I started in construction and entertainment, as my wife did with the entertainment side as well. But I was always on job sites with my uncle and my grandfather. They would always bring me along and show me the ropes and how to get things going. And I had no idea real estate would ever be down the pike for me. I wasn't even in that scheme of mind, right? So coming up in New York City, Jamaica Avenue, Queens is where I did my trade schooling and graduated from there and became a tradesman and a journeyman in HVAC and sheet metal working. And then when we got to Georgia, I opened up Jackson Draper Renovations LLC and partnered with Uncle Mark, who you see on the show, and we have our construction business here. However, when it comes to real estate, my wife would nudge on me and say, hey, listen, I need you to come into business with me. I'm giving away too many leads. Just make this a family thing.
Yeah.
You know, so I got a license. Uncle Mark got licensed, and we just been running the mark over
so
here.
that's what you don't see on the show. All of us are licensed real estate professionals. I have also studied. I did not get licensed as a general contractor, but I have studied as a general contractor. I have my project management certification. I'm a master certified negotiation expert, and a certified distressed property expert as well. So, you know, we kind of do this.
It's your life. You've done it, right? And you understand it. And it's not, you know, it's not only wealth building, but it's also legacy building, right? This idea of entrepreneurship and standing on the shoulders of those who came before you, and then kind of taking it and making it your own in a way that makes sense for you. So can you talk about that a little bit in terms of the importance of having kind of those kinds of entrepreneurial role models in your life as you endeavor or embark on these types of careers?
Listen, you know, and I'm sure my husband, because we have a lot of commonalities, you know, his family's my family. We're all family now, but we come from the school of hard knocks. Our families didn't necessarily have the funds to build trusts, you know, and legacy and create it in that fashion, but we still come from legacy, like a rich, deep-rooted love of resourcefulness as well. You know, when you don't have, you got to figure it out. And I think that those are skills that that our kids need to learn as well, is just how to be resourceful, how to figure things out and use what you have where you are to build. And that's the truth. Nothing was ever given to us. We didn't inherit, you know what I mean, anything. Yes. But what we did have was an appreciation and respect that was instilled in us in the value of hard work and learnedness.
Yeah. You know, to get onto that, you know, when people think legacy, they automatically think monetary value or finances or actual tangible items, but they never think about the character of the person, the morals that they left behind, right? Because when someone says your name, what gets attached to it? Is the only thing I left was money, but I have a terrible name, so my kids can't go anywhere, right? So that's also part of the legacy when my wife speaks on that, the morals, values, the characteristics of a person.
Exactly. I love that. So just to backtrack a little bit, you all had whole careers and other things. Mike is a DJ or was a DJ. Egypt was a radio personality, DJ, things of that nature. And you pivoted into this or out of that into this. What was it like pivoting out of? Was it hard? And as someone who recently pivoted out of a profession, was it hard to pivot out of that and to kind of let go of it? Or did you do both of them a little bit at a time until you eventually got all the way over here? Like, what was your strategy?
I mean, sometimes we pivot by necessity. You know, when we find ourselves on the unemployment line and then say, okay, this doesn't feel good. I never want to have to go through this again. And for me, that was the very first pivot that I had to make in redefining myself. I was literally standing on the unemployment line saying, but I was number one. How did they give me a pink slip? Well, that happens too. And then the pivots that I made thereafter came from recognizing that you always have to be in forward motion, so that even when you fail, you're failing forward and you're learning from that, and you can use those as tools as well. Those small failures, they will be very important in your toolbox because you'll always remember how you got over and got through. So for me now, you know, it's legitimately laying out a business plan. I create a business plan to go to the supermarket and say that. Mike will tell you, he's like, babe, all of this. I'm like, yes, first we go to produce, then we go over to but it's really create a business plan for your life. What does that look like for you? You know, for some people, it is about how much wealth or how many accolades or awards they can receive, or, you know, for us, it's about a life full of joy and meaning. And so, yes, part of that is career success, but the other part is something that you really can't put a dollar on. And we have a saying in our family, we create memories over materials. Experiences over materials. And so because I am going through menopause, I forgot the original question, but that's okay. because sounds great.
And I was just going to let her go, okay? Because she's adding value to the situation. So it's okay.
I'll show the audience my fan, my menopause fan. That's what I call it.
You asked how was the pivot from the other careers into what we are doing now? I would, for myself, there's never been a pivot because I've been doing the same thing since a child. I've literally toured the world DJing. I still own an entertainment company that provides DJs, and if the money's right, I'll go out. But that's also in combination with what I did as a kid with construction and renovation. I still do those. However, they're elevated, right? So the pivot for me was how can I make this a business, not just a hobby that I do, right? And that's the pivot for me, was learning the ins and outs of actually being a businessman.
But there's been several pivots for me. Again, pivot from radio to real estate. And then it's, well, how do you get people who are used to seeing you hoot and holler on a microphone in nightclubs to now trust you enough to buy homes from you? You know, there was a leveling up that had to happen there. And then into design in my 40s, it was trusting myself and recognizing, you know what, I don't have to keep hiring people and just calling myself a stager. I'm going to step into my personal power and embrace the fact that I'm designing these homes anyway, you know. But that, especially on a network that specializes in design, that took a lot of deep diving for me to reconcile with my soul that I was enough. Sometimes we don't think we're enough. And the thing we have to recognize is we are born enough just because we are. So Mike would always push me. Everybody was like, girl, you've been a designer, just like go. And, and even you're never too old to stretch yourself.
Never. And you're talking about imposter syndrome. And I think we all suffer from that in some way, shape, or form. And, you know, when you're beautiful and talented and have all of those things going for you, people assume that you don't have that type of issue, that you don't sometimes have to push yourself through, or you have to lean on your friends or your husband or whomever to keep you moving forward. So how did you all get to HGTV, or how did they get to you? How did they come into the picture, since you all were already doing this work and you were doing it well?
Thank you. It was really, again, being resourceful. I had been a radio personality, left, was in real estate, started designing my own properties. But then I recognized if we really want to take this up a notch, we need a platform. So then we go back 360, and I went back to radio, but this time with intention, saying, instead of talking about the celebrity gossip and all of that, let me start educating people about wealth in a way that's entertaining so they can laugh. So I would be on the radio talking about my tenant from the 3rd floor who flushed her hair weave down to the basement and backed up the waistline. It cost me $17,000, y'all. I'm in a bad mood, New York.
Oh my goodness.
You know, like that. You know, but this kind of thing. So they, a casting director heard me, invited me to audition for Property Virgins way back when. And I got that show, and then it turned into me executive producing Flipping Virgins, which was our family business all along. And nobody's babies got flipped, by the way. So it's a god awful name of a show, but then Mike and I, we just kept building our business. And during the COVID years, he started filming us in our natural element. And we edited it together, made a sizzle reel, and pitched it. And that's how Married to Real Estate came about, actually. So this has been, for me, a 15-year journey with HGTV, but Mike has been there all along. The cameras just weren't on him.
So tell us about, like, what's a day in the life of you film? And I know it's filmed over days and things of that nature, but in the interest of time and for people who are tuning in who are not familiar with the television world, what's it like? I mean, what's a typical day for you as you prepare, whether you're in pre-pro, and that's pre-production, that's the phase before production, whether you're in pre-pro or you are in production. Share a little bit of that with us. How does that go?
A day in the life. Well, there's a lot to entail, right? Because here's the thing I want those watching or listening to understand is that even when the cameras say cut, we still have those businesses going, right? So we have those episodes, and then we have the businesses that are not on the episodes. We wake up, we got to take care of our girls. We got to get them to school, okay? We still got to cook breakfast. We still got to check homework and all of that such. We may head to set, check on certain properties, do a scene, and then we actually may head to a I don't know, a site where we do a scene, but it's a daily continuous check on of projects, builder projects where she may go to the office or I may head to a job site with Uncle Mark. And then we still come back and we tend to the kids, cook dinner and do a lot of good stuff.
So on the show, you see us together all the time. In our day-to-day life, we're not together during the day. We very rarely see each other during the day because he works on one side of the business and I work on the other side of the business. So mine requires me being in the office a lot with clients or, teaching my real estate broker. So I'm coaching or designing and looking over the shoulder of my drafters. So I spend a lot of time in the office and he's in the field all the time. But then when you see us on TV, we try to show the things because it's a TV show, right?
Right.
We try to show you the things that are exciting of us when we're actually together. So maybe Mike's, installing something and I got to be there to make sure that it's installed the way design wants it, right? Or I'm working on a feature in the house and designing it and he stops by, so you get to see those things more so on TV, but that's 42 minutes out of a 5-month project.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 42 minutes out of a 5-month project. Just 1 second. I want to, if for viewers, if you're watching, if you have questions, please put them in the chat. I'll be happy to share them with Egypt and Mike. Okay. So you have this television show. You have a family with 2 gorgeous girls. Tell us a little bit about that. Tell us.
3 girls.
Right, 3 girls. I'm sorry. I do watch your show. I promise you. Yeah, that was a slip of the tongue. I'm sorry. But when you have your 3 girls, but tell us about balancing. What's the balancing act like? Because you do have the businesses, you have the TV show, you have your family, you have your other projects we haven't even talked about yet that we will talk about. But how do you do that? What's the balancing act for a family that has all of that going on?
I think when we try to balance, that's the biggest mistake. It's about prioritization, So for us, even going into this endeavor of being on television, we had to have a whole family meeting about it that didn't just involve us and the kids. It was the aunties, the uncles, the grandparents, everyone, because it takes a village.
Yep.
And we knew that it was already a lot when I was just on television. Mike was balancing a lot more. But now if we're both going to do it, we knew we needed support, but not bringing in nannies and all pairs. These are our babies, our kids, the most important things in our life. So we need the aunties and the uncles and the grannies to step in and help us if we're going to do this. And then we pledged to one another that if our family unit starts to suffer or if our marriage suffers, we get off of this roller coaster. And that's really what it is. That's why it works, because we always take an audit of our household. And I'm like, hey, Mike, are you happy? Are you still happy? You still like me? You still love me? And then he'll do the same. We'll check with the kids. Y'all missing mommy and daddy? Are we okay? Come to work with us. Or, you know what? We're just going to stop. We're not going to work. We're calling it, we're going to go and spend a family day. I think where things go wrong is when you're not paying attention, staying tuned in, and auditing at all times the emotions of the family unit.
And Mike, you as the dad and the husband of the family, what does that look like for you? Is it different? Do you have to think about things in a different way?
In our household, I would say no, to be honest with you. We're one. And I'm talking about, like my wife said, we are one, not just here. It literally does take a tribe for us. However, I do, as a man, I'm always thinking about my girls, and she's one of my girls, right? I'm thinking how they've been through whatever they've been through for the day. So I'm like, okay, we've been working, so I need to do this to make sure when we get home, they're okay. Or my wife has been doing a lot. I've been doing a lot, but however, I'm going to alleviate her plate and make it easy today and take the kids out. I'm thinking about that, how I can alleviate the stress for everyone.
He does a good job at that. Like I will say, Mike will take one good look at me and say, you need some sleep. You need a break. I got the kids. Just go lay down. And I am so grateful for those days.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So we have Coach Bobby Jackson, who has said he's in pivot season right now, and he's finding the show very inspirational. So I want to share that with you. And then Kim Byer Clark has a question about Indigo Road at JCPenney, but I want to talk about that a little bit later, Kim, because I want to stay on the family just real quick, and then this show. So when we talk about building your empire while building your family, you all are kind of representative, or very much so representative of what I would call, and I know positive is a word we kind of, is kind of sometimes linked with respectability politics and things of that nature. But I will use positive in this case because I do believe that's the right description. But you're offering a very loving, complimentary, positive representation of Black families working together to follow their dreams and to make sure that your family is whole. Can you talk a little bit about the intentionality of putting that image forth in the televisual landscape, please?
I think there just needs to be, you talked about balance earlier. That's one area where there needs to be balance. So many outlets have gotten comfortable with manufactured drama, specifically to the, to the downfall of the Black family, of Black men, of Black women. They like to show us fighting and bickering as if that's all we do, and that's the crux of our relationship with one another. And they like to show Black men missing, in jail, cheating, bad credit, the fraudsters, something like that. Now, you have to know that being in Atlanta, the city of reality television, that Mike and I have been approached to do many television shows in the past, reality-based. But, our gratitude is in knowing that, like, we stay connected with Source. We stay prayed up, and we have prayer warriors that cover us. And we're also we have discernment. So when we sit back, if something doesn't feel right, doesn't feel truthful, and I'm not as pressed to be on TV to where I want to lose my husband. He's not as pressed to be on TV to where he would risk our family unit. So we say no. We say no. It doesn't align. It doesn't match. And we wait. That's the thing folks forget. Like, when you wait on God, when you wait on him, the right opportunity that fits is going to come. And if it doesn't, you create it. And so it didn't come, so we created it. What we want it to be. And we don't have to try. It's not, hey, let's show us being positive. It's just most of the Black families that I know, work with, represent, that they're like us. We love hard. We work hard. We want to raise our kids, get them good educations. We want to leave wealth to them. We want to pay off debt. We want to travel. That's who I know. But that is not what has been represented in a balanced fashion across television. So we do hope that our show and the success that it's had shows that this can work too. This formula people want to see as well.
Right. We never wanted to be where when the camera said cut, we have to figure out every lie we told, right? You know what I'm saying? So we walk the walk. We are who we are. With or without the cameras, our character speaks for itself. Sometimes even when the camera comes off, my wife has to stop me from inviting people over to the house. Like, we don't know them like that, right? Like we're regular people over here. However, we understand the blessings that have been bestowed upon us, and that how much we carry. But we're blessed, and I say all the time, be the energy you seek to exist. So we're the energy we seek to exist.
But let me be clear. There are forces that don't want to see us, successful. There are forces that want to always highlight us in a negative way. Like you'll see some families painted, oh, they're so cute. Look at their kids. Look at their farm. Look at this. And then you'll pull us up on those same outlets, and they've got an X between us saying, here's the deep, dark secret of Egypt and Mike's marriage. And we're in the car. I'm like, babe, is there a deep, dark secret? One headline was like, Egypt and Mike on the rocks.
Yeah. And so we're still going to go get on some rocks.
We're going to see how it feels. We're going to go sit on some rocks. But I guess that comes with the program, right?
Yes.
Much is given, much is required, but it just seems that seems unbalanced. Why can't we be happy too? Leave us the hell alone and let us do what we love, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that some people believe that things are too good to be true, but sometimes it really is true. It just is what it is. And you just have to deal with it. And maybe because you haven't experienced it, you haven't seen it, it doesn't mean it's not going to happen for you. That's number one. But it also doesn't mean that it's not happening for someone else. So you should celebrate it instead of trying to tear it down, which is what we're doing on this show. Erica Hamilton has a question for you. For new mothers who are entrepreneurs, what is some advice about balancing your priorities without experiencing burnout and without feeling guilty?
Wow.
That's a loaded question.
That's a loaded question. Loaded question. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. I haven't quite figured that out. I have lupus. And so for anyone who knows what that is, some days I wake up in pain and I can't move. Or Mike is rushing me to the hospital. Other days I wake up and I feel like a rock star, So for me, that is that's something I'm still trying to figure out. I don't have all the answers, but again, having a tribe and a village and not being afraid to ask for help when we need it is super important. I think specifically for Black women, we think we have to wear this like badge of honor, this S on our chest, that we have to, you got to be superhuman, super mom, super wife, super everything. And it's exhausting and unhealthy. It's toxic. So I would love to propose that we all retire that whole concept of having to be super and just be our best, the best that we can be in the moment, day to day.
Now, Mike, you're a girl dad. So what does that do? I'm a full disclosure. I am one of 3 girls. So my dad actually has all sisters. So he's a girl dad, like for real. And so as a girl dad, what are you modeling or what are you trying to model for them in this particular family and in this particular endeavor through the show?
Well, not just through the show. However, I'll speak to the show first, but because we get approached a lot. I get approached a lot from single dads, from new dads, from parents in general to say, man, the way we see you highlight, fatherhood as a Black father with your girls is very inspiring. And one young man came to me and said, listen, I don't have a dad, but when I watch your show, I look at you as a father figure, and it really keeps me inspired. And I almost shed a tear that day. I was at a wedding when it came to me. But modeling or being anything is just natural for me. Every single daughter, we have 3 girls, has had a different dad. And right now they all have the best dad and still evolving, right? And I say that because you're always learning. Yes. Always learning. For me, I always wanted that family. I always used to watch the Cosby's and like, I want that because I know I can be a great dad. And when I ended up having 3 girls, I said, bring it on, because now I get to be emotionally available. I get to be fully mushy. I get to be all sides of a man without feeling like somebody's going to judge me. And that's the thing when it comes to being a good father, is that you don't have to, hide all of you from the world because you're trying to be macho or too much of a man. I say all the time, loving them more doesn't make you any less of a man. A lot of guys may see me do my girls' hair and they're like, wow, I would have never done it because I would have felt a certain way. Well, now you know that it's okay to do your daughter's hair, right? So I will
show, gets the part straight.
Oh, I'm a mean part guy. So I just want them to see that it's okay because I'm going to be the first person they fall in love with, the first man, right? Yes. And I want them to know that any raggedy man coming up in the street, a hard way to go.
Oh, you're like my dad. They all raggedy to him. So.
They all raggedy. That's one of the reasons I fell in love with him. So Mike had our eldest, Simone. He had a daughter from his previous marriage. They've gotten divorced. But one day he brought her to one of the job sites. I'm like, this is a pretty little girl. I mean, she's a gorgeous, sweet little girl, but it wasn't just that. I would watch from afar his interactions. He was wiping the crust out of the corners of her eyes, putting chapstick on her lip, combing her hair, hugging her, putting her on his back, but teaching her as he went. So he'd be working and saying, you see how daddy did this? You see how daddy? And you know what? Many of us have never had that. And my biological father was not around, but I have a stepfather who stepped into that role and loves my sister and I, like we're his own children. But that at that age, I never had that. And it was so intoxicating. It was attractive. It was just loving. And I'm like, every little girl needs a dad like that. Yes. And I knew right then he was going to be my baby daddy. I knew right then.
He was talking you, Mike.
But I was like, that's my baby daddy.
I love it. I love it. So she was stalking you, Mike. You were right. Okay.
No, he stalked me first.
He stalked you first. Okay. Okay. I love it. I love it. Okay. So let's talk about what else you all have going on outside of the show. Because you all have so many things you're doing in the community and things of that nature. Mike, let's talk about your mentorship program. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, the mentorship program is something that we're working on with a thing called Bank of Atlanta, where we invite all these kids to come in and we work on craftsmanship, show them how to build things, learn tools, and just the importance of being safe in business, right? So it's something for ages 10 to 16. And right now, what I want to do is expand it to where we invite some single mothers in that may not have the opportunity to teach their young men these things, right? This way they can also be a single mother, but also teach these kids, hey, listen, this is what I've learned from Mike Jackson from HGTV, right? So it's my way of contributing back to the community.
Okay, I love it. And Egypt, what you got going in terms of further developing your skills? I mean, not skills, your offerings, but also pouring back into the community, because I think that's an important thing that is that has to happen. And it's wonderful when you see people who have had the success that you all have also giving back and making sure that those coming behind you have the same opportunities.
Well, that's how energy works. You got to sow those seeds, So I founded a nonprofit called 1,000 Women Owned, 1000womenOwned.org. It really was just rooted in passion and purpose of wanting, as a business person, coming up. I didn't necessarily have all the resources. I had to find them. I didn't have the funding. I had to find it. I didn't have community. I had to build it. Well, what are the shortcuts that we can help other women in business with now more than ever? So that is what 1000 Women Owned is rooted in. And our goal is to help 1,000 women by 2030 own, grow, scale, and fund their businesses. So that is with my partner, Elizabeth Oates. And then Indigo Road, home furnishings and soft goods is in 300 plus JCPenney's starting this weekend. And so we're super excited about that launch. I've been working on Indigo Road for a few years. So we've got home furnishings you can find on indigoroad.com. But now you can also get us at JCPenney's.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. I love that. So when we think about entrepreneurialism and this ability and I used to run an entrepreneurship center, and I was actually national executive director of an entrepreneurship nonprofit. So I know a lot about it, but just let you know, I'm not talking out the side of my neck. When you are working with your group of people, what are you doing to ensure that they understand the importance of scaling and what that looks like? And what have you done that you can hold up as representative of that for them?
Sure. So, let me go to what I've done first. In a year and a half, I've built 4 companies. Literally, Indigo Road, we opened our doors in October of 2023. Okay. We had an office, and Mike and Uncle Mark got the building. Since then, we have 63 real estate agents in the Atlanta area. We're opening 3 additional offices across 3 states. So in a year and a half, we are in a position that we are not in the red, we are in the green, we're monetizing, and we're able to scale. That's number one in that business. In the design business, it's gone from me, the little engine that could, designing clients' homes, to creating opportunity for other designers now as well, so they can do what they love and earn an income. But it increases, our stretch. We air across 82 countries. So the question was, how do we reach all of those people, based out of Atlanta. So we scaled our business to a virtual model as well, to now wherever you are, no matter where you are, you'll be able to get a piece of an Indigo Road design. And in opening our virtual department, we have a Philippines staff as well. And they allow us to do more during all hours of the day as well. And so, just now being global. And then, of course, with our home furnishings, being able to scale that from literally textiles and wallpapers a year and a half ago to home furnishings to now licensing to then manufacturing to then soft good licensing partnerships and more. In a year and a half, didn't just build one, build three without grants. So with that said, I think it's important for us all to, number one, step into our personal power. So as a part of 1,000 Women Own, it's empowerment. It's speaking life into people where others may have not. That's a big part of it. Then it's coaching, actual business coaching, helping you understand the pillars of good business. And so we have business coaches, my own business consultant. Right. And then the resources. It's the where is the money, and helping them find it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So when we think about entrepreneurship, we're just going to stay on entrepreneurship a little bit more, and then we're going to move into self-care. But when we think about entrepreneurship, can you talk about, and both of you can talk about this, what is the value in owning your own business? Like you said, without grants, what is the value of owning your businesses outright, for our viewers and those who are interested in entrepreneurship?
The first thing that comes to mind for me is integrity, right? And the ability to have flexibility and versatility without having to worry about the ceiling, the cap, where someone is telling you how it should be done, which way to go in, and you have this totally different idea because it's been God-given, right? So now as an entrepreneur, you can explore all opportunities, especially in a day and age where you have so many avenues between EO, AI, Geo, Neo, and these are all with Microsoft and Google. There's so many different platforms that you can use to scale your business. So as an entrepreneur, a driven entrepreneur, not because I say driven entrepreneur because a lot of people think that it's easy. It is not easy. You are working 24 hours a day when you are an entrepreneur, okay? It's not something that you can do as a hobby. You have to love it. You have to have the passion for it. And as an entrepreneur, you have that ability to just do as you wish and have all these platforms at your fingertips.
I think the goal is, for some, to grow big and get rich. I think that you have to, when you own your own business, set your own goals. What is it? Is it to just be fulfilled? Is it to be wealthy and sustain and pass on a legacy business that maintains as a family business? Or is your goal to scale in record time in 10 years and then sell for $50 million? I think you have to set what your goal is, where you are, and then what is your exit strategy, if there is one. For me, the greatest fulfillment of owning my own is it's the perfect reflection of me, of my soul, of all the things that I love. No matter what, we're going to work, right? If you want to really, we're going to work. Would you rather work for someone else, or would you rather work for yourself? Is the question that I ask myself every day as I count my gratitude.
And Edith, you talked about this earlier about having a business plan even when you grocery shop. But can you all talk about the importance of that? Because I found a lot, in my experience, a lot of people have fantastic ideas, but they hadn't really done the research and weren't really hadn't really thought long term about, or even short term about what it looks like to launch this particular business. And, sometimes wanting to launch a business and finding out that, they're in the wrong market for that business. Can you talk about the importance of a business plan and what that entails?
Well, it just helps you see where you are. And it also, it helps you navigate where you got to go, set targets and benchmarks, helps you stay organized to get funding if you need it, when you need it, loans, if you need it, lines of credit, if you need it, when you need it, right? So for me, it also, I'm just that person. Way back in the day, my dad gave me a Franklin Covey. Do you remember the Franklin Covey? Are you of the Franklin Covey generation? Okay, so for iPal and on Monday.com and other.
Yes, yes.
All of these tools we use to stay
Yes.
organized now. So I liked to write things down in roadmap. This is where I am. This is where I got to go. These are all the different roads that I can take to get there. Which is going to be the shortest route? Which is going to be the most expensive route? You have to be able to roadmap your business if you want to grow it. If you want to just sustain it, you know, and just get a check and run it out of the trunk of your car, that's fine too. A lot of us have done that, and you know, you're just happy. That's your little business in your car, your trunk, you know. But if you want to grow, you want to legitimize your business, then you're going to need a business plan. You're also going to need advisors, bookkeepers. Stay organized. Yes.
Stay organized. I love it. Mike, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, you know what I want to add on there? Because you said selling out the car to the trunk, right? Because whoever, no, because on a serious note, someone that may see this, right? And this is serious, that doesn't know how to read. However, amazing entrepreneur, amazing creative artist, amazing content creator, right? They come from a different day and age where to them, this sounds like dinosaur material. And I'm speaking to that person because that person may have heard Lil Wayne, which started out the car out of his trunk selling CDs. And now he owns multiple businesses and multi-millionaire, right? And when I hear plan in conjunction with what she's saying is that, okay, you can't read, you can't write, but you can plan to set yourself up with the right team, right? Set yourself up with the right people that do know how to do what you're doing or don't know how to do, or do know how to do what you don't know how to do, right? So they can set you up in a place to go, listen, this is what you need to do. These are the people you need to be at or the places you need to be with. So for me, I'm hearing just plan to set yourself up with the right places, people, go to the workshops, go to the seminars and be in the right place.
Yeah, and that's spot on, especially hiring people who know more than you in some cases and who can fill in the holes that you don't have. All right, so this is my last business question, then we're gonna get into the personal care section. You all are creatives, right? And I think in a lot of people's mind, there's a separation between creativity and business, right? You're either creative or you do business, but you don't do both. Can you all talk about the need for both when you are a creative who is a designer or a DJ or a musician or a builder? All of that takes some level of creativity and skill. Can you talk about the importance of that?
You know, it's something that I talk to my team about all the time, right? We can't just be one trick ponies. You just can't. The real growth it comes when you yourself resign to stretch yourself, learn the things that and lean into the things that you're uncomfortable with. There was a time where it was like, I just want to create. I just want to make everything pretty and you get a flower and you get a flower. Okay, that's great. You know, and then you run the credit card bills up without thinking about, right? Or you're now in business with someone without a contract, or now they don't want to pay you the balance of what they owe you despite everything being in their home design wise. Okay, that's because you weren't a good business person. So your talent will get you there, but your business acumen will keep you and protect you. So you need every business person needs an attorney or some sort of legal advisor. You do. You're going to need it. You're going to need some help. I don't care if you go to LegalZoom, but you got to start having contracts and paperwork. It's, you know, just word of mouth. We don't do that anymore if you're in business, right? I think that you also have to then learn how to protect your intellectual property, whether that's logos, the name of your company, whatever it is. So say you went and you created an LLC and your friend created a logo for you and you put it up on a website and all of a sudden you're successful and someone else decides that's a good business model and I like their logo. And they take it. Well, did you trademark it? You know, they take everything on your website, the text. Did you copyright it? These are the things that we have to do if we truly want to level up in business.
Fantastic, 100%. All right, so I want to pivot from this and pivot into you all. Like, what does self-care look like for you as a couple and individually? Like, how do you keep it going? Because literally listening to you all is exhausting, not in a bad way, in a great way. Y'all are amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing. You're amazing. But I'm like, how do you all keep it together mentally, physically, spiritually, in order to keep going, not only individually and in business, but as a couple? I know it's a broad question, but we can talk a little bit.
We have a different regimen. You go first, babe.
And real quick, for listeners, there's 15 minutes left. If you do not have a question, if you do have a question, you need to ask it, because we're wrapping right at 1 o'clock because they got stuff to do. Okay.
Well, so as a couple, right? And for those that may be out there listening, wanting to do business as a couple or just as a partnership, we have to work. If this doesn't work, nothing else we try to do together is going to work, because I got to like you to be in business with you, right? I have to like you to want to do anything with you. And that's general across the board. You don't want to be in business with someone you don't like, right? And I love the person that I'm doing business with, right? And then we make sure we don't compete at this, because the common goal is to succeed as a family unit. So I'm not trying to be better than her. Oh, she may make more than me at this point, or he's making more. It's not a competition. It's all coming back to one household.
Self-care, sir. Right? Self-care.
This is self-care because it's about mental and emotional. I'm not the one on menopause. I'm okay.
Get him, Egypt. Get him.
Low blow.
No, we gotta laugh at each other, right? So, but individually, we give each other that space to be individuals, right? You want to go play basketball, you want to go golf, she doesn't question it. It's not like, well, what time you going? Why you got to go? You do this again, because that becomes mental stress on my part. We got to make sure we alleviate the stress from each other, because we have so much going on, right? So individually, I'm working out, I'm at the gym, or I'm with my fellas, playing spades or something, and I'm recalibrating, I'm decompressing and getting back to myself. Resetting is very important for me.
Yeah. I really should be in the gym. And I have resigned myself that I am going to get on that daggone elliptical at least 30 minutes a day. But for me, my peace comes from allowing my body to rest. Like, sleep really is an activity that I think many of us overlook. We don't have enough rest, our bodies are not getting enough sleep. Like, that is how our cells regenerate, that allowing your mind to rest. And so I try to get as much sleep as possible. What I enjoy doing, which I'm quite surprised being a city dweller, which is where I grew up in Philly, right? I love to farm and garden. I have an herb garden. I got vegetable and fruits. We planted peach trees and plum trees. And I love that. Just kind of getting my hand in the earth. I also get up and ground every morning. And for those that don't know what grounding is, you should really learn. I sleep on a grounding sheet. I have a grounding mat that I stand on and run those vibrations through my body. I sleep to the solfeggio frequencies. And then I get up in the morning and go stand on earth, and give honor to God and to the sun. That is my self-care and wellness. And retail therapy ain't bad either.
Retail therapy. You said a word.
Therapy.
Yeah. So when you are doing your show, sometimes it seems that even the people that you're working with, that you are a source of not only inspiration, but also kind of recovery for them, in terms of, sometimes you have a show, you have an episode where you're helping somebody get through something, or they've recovered from or dealing with something serious, and they got this house issue as well. Can you talk about an episode that you filmed that made you feel really, really good about helping someone kind of achieve their dream, and knowing that you were also helping them in other ways?
Yeah. This season 4, Married to Real Estate, you'll see a beautiful woman by the name of Miss Peggy and her son. She had recently lost her husband in the episode while we were filming, actually before we started filming. Yeah. So everything was, sensitive to her, very important to her, emotional attachment. And the goal was for her and her husband to remodel the house, but he passed before that could happen. So she wanted to see it come to pass. And it was an emotional roller coaster that we were happy to be a part of, because when I first met her, she called for construction at first. And I first met her, I said, oh my God, you're like one of my aunties. Like, we got to do right by her.
She fed him. That was it.
And we just knew we had to get it right. we just knew we had to get it right.
It was an honor to work on that, but you know, even we cried at the reveal because it was just a big woosah, you know, moment for her. It was a life changer. Yeah. So yeah, we have those every now and again. I remember, you remember Gregory and Africa? I think that was season 2. His dad left him a home, but the home was fully dilapidated. It was the house he grew up in, and his dad passed away. So every wall we took out was like an emotional moment for him. Wait, that was the wall my dad stood me up in the corner when I got in trouble. You know, every door that came out, wait, that's the door I used to slam when I was mad at, you know, and it was that kind of tug of war emotion wise. But at the end, it meant so much because now it was an investment property where they could create generational wealth for their kids, you know. So it was just, you know, we're just happy to be along for the ride for people's journey, you know, whatever it may be. We're grateful.
You know, earlier we said these projects, you only see 45 minutes, 42 minutes on TV, right? But we're in these people's house 3 months, 5 months, 6 months sometimes. So you were really dealing with these people for all these months. And when you're doing construction or somebody's house, it's personal. Where you got to do therapy periodically.
Or you become the therapist.
You become the therapist, yes. Yes. And do you all vet? I mean, how do you all vet the people that you work with on the show? Do you bring them, or does HGTV bring them? How does that work?
It's a combination. So some are our actual clients that we've already been working with. Maybe their design concepts are done, or Mike has them contracted. And now there's an opportunity, because we're going into season, for them to decide to do it on television. For others, they actually reach out to the network or to the production company, and then they bring them back to us and say, hey, you know, do you like these folks? Do you want to work with them? Is this a viable project based on their budget? So it's all of us working together.
Okay, I love that. We do have a question from Precise Communication. How has the show impacted your businesses? Has it translated monetarily, or is it just grinding all these years?
So true. I'm tell the truth.
Go ahead, you tell
the truth, Egypt. That's what we want, the truth.
We made more money before television.
Oh, okay.
We did. A lot of people assume that you are rich just because you're on television, but the truth of the matter is, you're not. It's a platform for you to utilize so that you can increase your business model. For those who are on TV with no plan and no business, you know, then you're just getting a talent fee. And when the ride is over, it's over. Especially in the type of television that we do, there's no residuals. You know, you don't get royalty checks. You get that talent fee. So when you are filming year round, you have to imagine that your attention is kind of all over. And then we do promo, we do all of that. It's a choice that we made to do for a few years to increase our notoriety and our reputation and let people see what we were building. But we do know that when the roller coaster's over, we'll probably be earning a lot more. We'll be able to do a lot more projects. Yeah.
So she spoke to the financial aspect of it all, but you also said the question was, has it elevated or added to it, and so on and so on. It has created a lot more exposure for all entities within our business structure, right? I mean, every episode, the phones go crazy, the emails come in, the DMs, the texts, etc. But it's a matter of scaling properly, because you can't take on everything because you're so consumed with the show. So you want to make sure every customer gets treated right? They get the right customer care. So, I'm getting 100 calls, I'm gonna take all 100. No, because then you'll just fall apart in the midst of it all. So the exposure is amazing. You know, the clientele is amazing. The opportunities are amazing. And outside of creating it to get it more exposure, it's what we love to do as well. You know, we're creatives at the end of the day, and it's part TV. So we love to create the content within it all and tell stories and allow people to tell their stories too.
Oh, I love it. So you're elevating stories and important stories. And I think that's the best part of your show, because we learn so much about you. We also learn about your clients and their struggles or challenges or opportunities or what have you. We have Miss Gemini, Gigi. I'm just going to share this. Yes, I've been watching the episodes again for inspiration. Purchasing a home that needs updating. Egypt and Mike are inspiring, especially on Rock the Block. I'm trying to build up equity too. Do you want to tell the viewers a little bit about Rock the Block?
We did. We competed in season 3, and we won.
Yes.
Named after us, Egypt and Mike Street. We still have the sign in our garage. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun. It was hard work. We're often asked why through the whole episode is everyone wearing the same outfit. They literally make us wear the same clothes for however many weeks we're working on the show. You know, you got 3 or 4 different shirts, 3 or 4 different, but they have to be the same. And I think that's because of the editing. You know, when you've got 4 teams, it's kind of hard to document when everybody's changing clothes. So they make you just keep it on. I think that's smart for them. But we really are doing the work. And that's the other one is like, wait, how did you guys all do that? And again, you're only seeing 42 minutes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but it was good. I'm glad we did it that time. We don't need to do it again. We won, and that's it.
Absolutely, you did.
Our little street sign to the bank.
Yes, and you should have won. You should have won.
Mike wants to do it again. He wants to go again.
You want to do Rock the Block again?
I don't turn down opportunities. I'm beast mode.
Okay. I don't know. It's too soon for me. Too soon.
You need your time. You need your time. All right. Well, last but not least, I would like for you all to talk about the role that faith plays in your life, because you do talk about it. I do follow you on social media. I'm not a stalker. Just a fan. But you do talk about the way that the role that faith plays in your life and in guiding you. In Egypt, you've mentioned it multiple times today. Can you talk a little bit more about that for us?
I mean, it's the compass. You know, it's where we draw our energy from. It's where we are renewed. It's where we're restored. For us, just having that belief, and I don't care if you call it source. I don't care if you say Yahweh, Jesus, Allah. Again, it's having a center base, a moral compass to guide you. So for me, I grew up in the church. You know, it was important that I marry someone who was God loving as well. You know, where I really knew outside of him, you know, and watching him with his daughter, where I really knew that this is the man God created for me was I was going through something very difficult in my life. And I happened to be in a room on my knees praying over it. And I didn't even know he was there. I just, at one point, felt him come up behind me and wrap his arms around me and put his hands on top of my praying hands. And he prayed with me. And I was like, well, that's it. That's the foundation right there for our relationship and for our family. So.
I love it. Mike, how about you?
God-fearing. You know, I wouldn't have it any other way. You know, it's a guidance, your GPS of it all in life. As she said, you know, no matter what it is, Yahweh, Jesus, etc. If it's your universe, you know, people say the universe told me, so let the universe guide you. It has to be within, because without the creator, there's none of this, right? All because of a higher power. And when you believe in that, it dictates where you're going to go and what is drawn to you. So
I think that helps with mental health as well. You know, for those who don't believe in anything, then essentially you're saying that everything where it stops and ends is with you. And that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of toxic pressure to build up inside. But when you can release it, you know, to God, when you can release it to, you know, what will be, it allows you to flow and grow in it. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. This has been a wonderful conversation with you all. Tell people how to watch you on HGTV and Max and all the things, how to find you and Married to Real Estate.
Well, right now, season 4, HGTV, right? On Wednesdays, 9 p.m. Or you can watch us on HBO Max, Discovery Plus. We also just found out we're on Prime.
We're in a lot of places. Woo!
You are.
But you can watch our podcast. We have a podcast, the Marriage and Money podcast with Egypt and Mike on YouTube. Just look for the Egypt and Mike channel and you can watch our past episodes, and we got a new season coming up soon.
Fantastic. And remember to go to indigoroad.com. Yes, to find Egypt's designs. You can have them in your own home. Yes. All the things. And listen, I'm gonna be over there because I want some of the stuff that y'all got.
We're gonna send you a package.
I want your energy and your designs. But thank you so much for joining us. Join us next time. We'll be talking about some of the wonderful Black media that is out, talking about centers. We're going to be talking about Forever with some media scholars. But thank you today, Egypt and Mike and Marriage Real Estate for joining us. We really enjoyed you, and we wish you all the luck in the world.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Okay, you too.